Arcadian Vanguard presents The Wrestling News in your daily wrestling newscast for Saturday, February 25th, 2023. Good morning, I'm Mike Sempervive. We begin today with corporate news out of World Wrestling Entertainment. WWE's Senior Vice President for Global Talent Strategy and Development, James Kimball, was fired by the company last week, reportedly due to a human relations violation, according to Fightful Select. No other details were given about the nature of the departure. Kimball joined WWE in August of 2017 after nearly a decade with the Ultimate Fighting Championships and was key in the creation and development of WWE's Next in Line name, image, and likeness program aimed at college athletes. Before joining WWE, Kimball oversaw the creation of the UFC Performance Institute in Nevada, which opened in May of 2017 and was named its Vice President of Operations. Since December 2021, WWE's NIL program has signed 46 college or university athletes from 13 different sports. In addition to WWE and the UFC, Kimball has also held positions with the Lagarde Group and the National Basketball Association's Washington Wizards. We'll have more on this story as it becomes available. We turn now to Friday Night Smackdown live on Fox from the Ford Center in Evansville, Indiana. In the main event segment, Jimmy Uso came down to the ring to call out his brother Jay in order to talk to him about getting back on the same page with the rest of the bloodline. Instead, it was Sami Zayn who came out through the crowd, leading to a microphone battle between the two.
You're the one that made that choice. You had that chair in your hand. You're the one that pulled the trigger. You're the one that made the choice. You stepped on me, and you stepped on Jay. What was I supposed to do, huh? Listen, you made the choice, and I did what I had to do. That's what family do. But you know what family don't do, Roos? They don't betray you.
No. Yeah, let me tell Let me tell you what else family doesn't do, okay? They don't make you test your loyalty every single week. They don't make you jump through hoops just to prove that you're worth something. They don't manipulate you every single week like Roman Reigns did to me, the way Roman Reigns has done to your twin. That's what he did, not for weeks, not for months, for years.
As Jimmy Uso and Zayn went back and forth, Jey Uso then appeared in the crowd. When Zayn looked up and saw him, it gave Jimmy the opportunity to land a sucker punch. Jimmy pleaded for his brother to join the attack, but Jey only watched on. Zayn then recovered and hit Jimmy with a haluva kick, causing Solo Sikoa to hit the ring, and Zayn bailing out through the crowd. Earlier in the program, through a text to Paul Heyman, undisputed WWE champion Roman Reigns issued a warning to Jimmy to deal with his brother Jay, or he'd do it himself when he shows up next week.
Then we can hash things out. Face to face. Personally.
I hope so. Let's look at this text I just got from our tribal chief. Roman Reigns will be here live next week on SmackDown. Jimmy, he wants you to know, you handle Jay tonight, or the tribal chief will handle him for you next week, personally.
WWE Smackdown Women's Champion Charlotte Flair and her opponent at WrestleMania, Rhea Ripley, were scheduled to have a face-to-face promo battle, but most of the banter was taken up by Dominic Mysterio, who came down to the ring alone to needle Flair on Ripley's behalf. When Flair had heard enough, she began to take off her title belt and approach Dominic, which finally caused Ripley to appear. The two women exchanged words off mic and stared each other down to end the segment. Karrion Kross submitted Rey Mysterio Jr. with the cross jacket. As Mysterio went for the 619, Scarlett Bordeaux distracted the referee, which allowed Dominic Mysterio to stop his father from hitting the move and knocking him to the floor. After the match, Dominic taunted his father by repeatedly shoving him and screaming at him to retaliate, but the elder Mysterio just walked away. Earlier in the show, Dominic and Rhea Ripley interrupted an interview segment with Rey and Santos Escobar, with Dominic running down both men. In other results, Shayna Baszler defeated Natalya. After the match, Baszler and Ronda Rousey beat down Natalya until Tegan Nox made the save. It was announced later in the show that Rousey and Baszler will face Natalya and Nox on next week's SmackDown. Kofi Kingston pinned LA Knight following the Trouble in Paradise kick. Bray Wyatt hosted a Firefly Funhouse segment. And the opening bout of the night was a six-man tag team match which saw Imperium defeat Braun Strowman, Ricochet, and Madcap Moss after Gunther powerbombed and pinned Moss. AEW Rampage on TNT was taped last Wednesday at the Footprint Center in Phoenix, Arizona. In the main event, Sammy Guevara defeated Action Andretti after interference from Daniel Garcia, which opened the door for Guevara's GTH knee strike.
Two men so evenly matched. Andretti, John Woo dropkick in the corner. That rocked his head.
He's back in position again.
Nowhere to go. The Turnbuckle City.
Here comes another spin.
Oh, no! Garcia behind the referee's back.
Referee didn't see a damn thing. You can't call what you don't see. The crowd's booing, but Danny took his damn head off with that clothesline. Good job, Danny. Come on, Sammy.
Sammy Guevara with Action Andretti up the GTH.
That's it, baby. Come on, Sammy. Cover him.
Guevara with the assist from Garcia.
Yeah.
He gets the win.
Hell of a match, ladies and gents.
Systematic cheating again.
Before Guevara and Andretti got started, it was announced that both men would be a part of AEW's Face of the Revolution ladder match, which takes place this Wednesday on Dynamite. Joining Guevara and Andretti will be Konosuke Takeshita, Ortiz, Eddie Kingston, Powerhouse Hobbs, AR Fox, and AAA Luchador Commander, who will be making his AEW debut. The winner of the multi-person ladder match receives a shot at the TNT Championship. For the past 2 years, the Face of the Revolution ladder match was held during AEW's Revolution pay-per-view and was won by Scorpio Sky and Wardlow respectively. Toni Storm defeated Willow Nightingale, pinning her after the Storm Zero piledriver. After the match, Storm's partner Saraya pulled out 2 cans of green spray paint to use on Nightingale, which led to Ruby Soho running down and making the save. As the heels bailed up the entrance ramp, Jamie Hayter and Britt Baker came out and fought them to the back. Also on the show, Dustin Rhodes and Keith Lee challenged Swerve Strickland and Parker Boudreaux for a match on next week's Rampage. Lance Archer dispatched of Bryce Saturn, and the Young Bucks, Matt and Nick Jackson, defeated Aussie Open, Kyle Fletcher and Mark Davis after the Bucks hit Fletcher with the BTE trigger and Matt Jackson scored the pin. After the finish, as the Bucks and Kenny Omega stood in the ring, the lights dimmed and the House of Black appeared at ringside. But before anything happened, the lights dimmed again and the HOB was gone. Attacks took place during 2 interview segments. In the first, Austin and Colton Gunn, Lee Moriarty, and Big Bill attacked Trent Beretta and Chuck Taylor. Later, Jeff Jarrett, Jay Lethal, Satnam Singh, and Sanjay Dutt attacked the Acclaimed and Billy Gunn. Also on Friday, Impact Wrestling presented No Surrender from Sam's Town Live on the Boulder Strip in Sunrise Manor, Nevada. Streamed on Impact Plus, the main event of the show saw Josh Alexander make the 23rd defense of the Impact World Championship by pinning former champion Rich Swann in 25 minutes and 13 seconds after delivering the C4 Spike Butterfly piledriver.
For another cutter. Go for another cutter. Oh, this time caught.
Wait.
Oh, pile driver.
And now to be outdone, looking to lock it in. One more time, the C4 Spike.
Cover on Swan. Alexander has it in him to beat Rich Swann.
Knockouts champion Mickie James also retained her title by holding off the challenge of Masha Slamovich, reversing a Slamovich monkey flip attempt into a pin. In other title tilts, Joe Hendry defeated Moose in a Combat Hardcore match to retain the Digital Media Championship, while the Death Dolls, Taya Valkyrie and Jessica Havoc, retained their Impact Knockouts Tag Team title by defeating the Hex, Marty Bell and Allison Kay, after Havoc pinned Bell. Steve Maclin won a 4-way match over PCO, Brian Myers, and Heath to become the #1 contender to Alexander's Impact World title. Maclin gets his title shot at Impact Rebellion coming up on April 16th in Toronto. After the match, X-Division champion Trey Miguel came out to complain about being left off the card. This ended with him being chokeslammed on the stage by PCO. Also on the main show, Frankie Kazarian defeated Khan, and in a 6-man tag team match, The Bullet Club team of Kenta, Ace Austin, and Chris Bay defeated Kushida and the Motor City Machine Guns. In pre-show matches, Jonathan Gresham defeated Speedball Mike Bailey, and Giselle Shaw pinned Deonna Purrazzo after a running knee to the head, which was facilitated by Jay Vidal distracting the referee and Savannah Evans attacking Purrazzo. And we'd like to make a correction to yesterday's broadcast. When discussing John Cena's return to television in March, I noted that Cena's return has caused a run on tickets at the building he'll be appearing in. Unfortunately, during yesterday's newscast, I mentioned his return would be taking place at the Amalie Arena in Tampa. That was incorrect. Cena's last appearance for WWE on the December 30th edition of SmackDown emanated from Tampa. Coming up on March 6th, Cena and the rest of Monday Night Raw will be in Boston at the TD Garden. We apologize for the error. And before we leave you today, we'd like to remind you that however you consume your content, you can find the wrestling news 24 hours a day and 7 days a week across social media. On Twitter, follow us at Wrestling News AV. Our Facebook page is also Wrestling News AV. The Wrestling News can also be found on the Arcadian Vanguard YouTube page. And for those who utilize Amazon Echo devices, just tell Alexa to play the Wrestling News podcast. And remember to make sure you add podcast at the end. Once again, for daily updates, breaking news, and more, follow the Wrestling News across social media. And that's the news for today. If anything happens, we will be here to tell you about it. No clickbait, no paywall, just the Wrestling News. The Wrestling News is a division of Arcadian Vanguard, and the Wrestling Newscast is a production of the Arcadian Vanguard Podcast Network.